Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everyone Watches Women's Tennis, a tennis podcast that is solely focused on the women's game, giving you regular updates about what is taking place on the WTA Tour, both on and off the court. I'm actually really nervous recording this episode because I've just lost my groove. So we'll see how I go. But thank you all for coming back to our 7th episode. Wow, we've made it to 7. And there'll be lots more, I promise. But yeah, thank you for joining me for this 7th episode. Let's just get straight into it. We are in the midst of the US Open, the 4th major of the year, 4th and final major of the year. And things are hotting up because we've had 2 quarterfinals played and then we have 2 more that are being played. Well, I'm in Australia, so they're being played Thursday morning, but those in other countries, they're being played on Wednesday day and night. But anyway, so I've just got a few things that I would like to just discuss. I hope this is a quick and fast episode, because at the end of the tournament, that's when I'll really do a deep dive into certain things that I probably won't talk about now because it's relevant, but it takes a lot of dissection. And this is just a quick fun episode for you to listen to before the rest of the finals that are upcoming. And before we look forward to the quarterfinals and the semifinal, before I do a little preview for that, I want to also go a bit backwards and take a look at my pre-tournament predictions, and then also just some of the surprise performers and also disappointing performers. And then I'll do, like I said, predictions and a preview of the quarterfinals and the semifinals. And before we get into all the tennis talk, I'm sure there are a couple people wondering where I've been for so long. I haven't been anywhere. I have been at home, but living in Australia and watching tennis, it does take a toll on you, on your sleeping habits, on your body, a lot of things. And I think I was just burnt out, especially after doing French Open and Wimbledon back to back. It catches up to you eventually, and you have to be able to survive my normal life here, which is waking up in the morning when everyone wakes up and doing things when everyone else does things. And then I've also just had some family holidays and stuff. So I haven't been 100% on my tennis grind. And because I haven't been 100% on my tennis grind, I don't like speaking about things. I don't like speaking about things that I haven't seen myself, or I don't like analyzing things that I'm not fully aware of, or matches that I haven't watched. I think it makes no sense to give my perspective on things that don't concern me because I didn't watch them. Which I will say, a lot of people need to take that advice, because if you don't know about something, then you probably should be quiet about it. But that's me being shady, so maybe I'll cut this out. Anyways, so to get us started, I'm sorry, I don't know why I'm yelling. This is what I mean when I say I was nervous to record this episode, because I am all over the place. Oh yes, to get us started, we'll start with my pre-tournament predictions. Before the tournament started, when the draw came out, I did what I normally do. I filled out I completed the draw. So I picked a winner from each round until the winner. So from round of 128 to the final, in total, that's 7 rounds. I'm obviously not going to go through it all because some of that stuff is old news, old news, but I'll go up to the quarterfinal. So what I had listed for my quarterfinalists, and then see if I was right or wrong. But what can you do? All right, so we'll start with my quarterfinalists. So the 8 people I had listed down making the quarterfinal, I had Aryna Sabalenka, then I had Aryna Rybakina, then the second quarterfinalists were Ludmila Samsonova and Victoria Mboko, then third set of quarterfinalists, I had Madison Keys and Naomi Osaka, and final set of quarterfinalists, I had Alina Svitolina and Iga Swiatek. And I'm just going to quickly go through why I picked some of those people. Because again, I didn't do a pre-tournament prediction, so can't go through it in too much detail, but we'll just start with Aryna. I mean, that one's kind of self-explanatory. She's made I don't know, the last 12 or something quarterfinals, the majors. She's a defending champ, world number 1. Yeah, not much else to say. Then for Elena, back on Sabalenka, her draw was difficult, but not difficult enough for her not to win, And then we've got, it's been a while since I remember her losing early in a Grand Slam. It's going to happen sometime, but I don't know. I didn't think it was this time, and I was correct. And then the player I had Sabalenka playing in the quarterfinal was Elena Rybakina, because she was playing well, not her peak, but she was playing well. And I thought she was playing well enough to get through all the people in her quarter of the draw. And she did up until round 4 where she lost to Vondrousova, which makes sense because she's been playing well, but she keeps losing matches that are close. 3-set matches or matches where she loses a very close first set. She then goes on to lose the second set easily. So close matches have just been, I don't know, a mind-boggling thing for Aryna at the moment. And I'm not even going to touch on her old coach, Stefano Vukov, being back in her box. That is a whole episode in and of itself. It needs its own episode. Then, who was my next? Okay, I had Ludmila Samsonova. This I got very wrong, which, to be honest, I don't think anyone would have predicted that she would lose to Priscilla Hon in the second round. I thought it was, again, I put Samsonova there because she had a pretty good draw. Yeah, she had a really good draw, actually. And I think it was time for her to build on her performance in slams. So building on her performance, getting to the fourth round of the French Open and then quarterfinals of Wimbledon, and not playing that well at Wimbledon. So I was thinking, should want to rectify that? But it also makes sense why she didn't go that far, because she hasn't been playing well after Wimbledon in other tournaments. So got that wrong. Then Victoria Mboko. Okay, so for Victoria Mboko, it was like a 50-50. Because I was like, if she got through her first round match, which was against Barbora Krejcikova, I thought she would be able to make the run, and that's to the quarterfinals, and that's what I predicted. But unfortunately, she got a horrible first round match. Yeah, I think she got a horrible first round match, so made it a bit difficult. But in saying that, she can beat anyone. It doesn't really faze her who's on the other side of the net. She just plays her game. So that's what I was basing it off. And also just that confidence of, winning at home at Canada. And also I was hoping that the stats would back me up. Not even the stats, just like, fairy tale thinking, that the last teenager who won Canadian Open then went on to win the US Open, which was Bianca Andreescu. But this didn't happen, so let's keep pushing. Then who was my next quarterfinalist? This one, I'm sorry. Come on, guys. What was Madison Keys doing to everyone, but especially me? Because I had Madison making the quarterfinals. She didn't even make it to the second round. I think her making the quarterfinals is kind of like self-explanatory. Well, why I had her making the quarterfinals. It's kind of self-explanatory. She had a difficult draw, but I think she's had enough time to recover from a disappointing Wimbledon and disappointing performances in the pre-US Open tournaments to come here and want to prove a point, but that didn't happen. And she's on home soil. She's performed well in the past. She's made semifinals and she's made a final of the US Open as well. So I thought that could be maybe on the cards for her again, but it wasn't. She was so nervous. It was not a good match. Anyway, and then I thought her quarter-finalist opponent would be Naomi Osaka, and I was correct in that. And yeah, Naomi is in the quarterfinals. The reason I got her making it to the quarterfinals is the first couple of matches pretty easy for her on paper. And she also is now in her groove. She's doing her Naomi thing. She's on US soil. She is on hard court. She's made a final of 1,000 tournament. She's seeded again. So everything's going for her. And she looks confident, can beat anyone, and has a point to prove. That's why I had her in the quarterfinals. And then the last two quarterfinalists, I had Aryna Sabalenka, which was completely wrong. I can't even explain it because she has a really difficult draw, and also looking at her most recent results, they haven't been great. So I don't even know why I had her in the quarterfinals. I still think it's crazy that Aryna Sabalenka has never been in the slam final. That's wild to me. But yeah, got that wrong. I'm not even gonna try and defend that one. That was just bad. And then lastly, we got Iga Swiatek in the quarterfinals, which also I think that's pretty self-explanatory. She has a lot of momentum and confidence at the moment coming from that Cincinnati win. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. And also she got a good draw. Oh, actually, no. Iga's draw was not the greatest, but I thought she'd still be able to come through it, and she has. So after going on my reasoning of my pre-tournament predictions, I only got 3 out of 8 of the current quarterfinalists. So to the other 5, sorry for not believing in you. That's Anisimova, Mukova, Krejcikova, and Pegula, and Vondrousova. Sorry for not believing in you. You've done well. Anyway, just before we finish my pre-tournament prediction, because I told you who I thought my quarterfinalists are, and then I'll just go through who I thought would make it to the semis, and then my finalists and my winner. But I did have on Dark Horse alert, I had Naomi Osaka and Elena Rybakina. Still have one of those dark horses. I know it's hard to call Naomi a dark horse, but she has to be. She's not seated in the top 10. She, hasn't until now made deep run to Grand Slam in a while. So fair to call a dark horse. Elena Rybakina, again, I wouldn't have been surprised if she had made it to the semifinals. But she just got handed a difficult draw in that having Vondrousova and Paolini all in her quarter. So I think, but I have big dreams and wishes for Elena. So it's hard to see where we are right now. She's playing well, but she's not just like playing well enough to make semifinals type of player. She should be a multi-Grand Slam champion. And then I had on upset alert, which I got most of them correct, except like 2. I had Jasmine Paolini, which is hard. Jasmine had a difficult draw. So Jasmine Paolini, then Emma Navarro. Emma Navarro did do better than I thought. She ended up making it to the 3rd round. I thought she would lose to Katie McNally, but then lost to Barbora Krejcikova. And then we had Ostapenko, who I was correct. She lost to not who I thought she was going to lose to, but she still lost in the 2nd round. Then Kasatkina, who has been up and down, but she's been more on the decline. So for her to she made the 3rd round, which is actually better than I thought she would make. And then Haddad Maia, who also did better than I thought. She made it to the 4th round, but she was on my upset alert. Okay, and then quickly, quarterfinalists. So I had, quarterfinalists. This is my pre-tournament prediction. So I had quarterfinalists Sabalenka versus Rybakina, and I had Sabalenka winning. Then Samsonova Mboko, I had Samsonova winning. Then quarterfinalists, I had Madison Keys, Naomi Osaka, with Naomi Osaka coming out on top. And Elena Svitolina versus Iga Swiatek. And for some reason, I had Elena Svitolina coming out on top. I don't know what's happening. Anyway, and then my semifinalists, I had Aryna Sabalenka and Ludmila Samsonova, with Sabalenka coming out on top. And the other semifinal, I had Naomi Osaka and Elena Svitolina, with Naomi Osaka on top. And then my finalists, which I will say could still happen. My final could still happen. I'm pretty confident in it, but let me not say too much. So I had the final between Naomi Osaka and Sabalenka, and I had Sabalenka as the champion. I'll be honest with you. The reason I have Sabalenka as a champion is because she can't lose. She can't be losing a 3rd final in a row, right? Yeah, that's why I picked it. There's other reasons behind it, of course, but now that I think about it, looking at it, probably should pick Naomi. But anyway, that's what I had. Let's see if it still comes true. We're very close to it. So moving on, I'm going to do my disappointments and standouts for this tournament. I'll try and go through these really quickly, starting with the disappointments. So first I had Madison Keys. I predicted her to make it to the quarters, and then she went on to lose 1st round to Renata Zarazua, who's ranked 2nd. Madison Keys, by the way, is 6th. Madison's a 6th seed. So she lost in 3 sets to Renata Zarazua. So 7-6, 6-7, 7-5. She lost to Renata Zarazua in 3 sets, 3 really close sets, but it was not good from Maddie. She had 14 double faults and 89 unforced errors. I will say Zarazua played so well. She forced Madison Keys to keep hitting one more ball and then exploited those mistakes and forced her to make mistakes in some instances. But in other instances as well, Maddie's racket was just flying off. It was off the handle. Anyway, and then the second person I had who disappointed me was Svitolina. I predicted a quarterfinal run for her as well, but then she lost 1st round to Anna Bonda, and Alina was seeded 12th for this tournament, and she lost to Anna Bonda, who's ranked number 97. It was actually their 3rd time playing each other this year at the majors. I'm sure Bonda did not want to lose 3 in a row. So that makes sense in this result. But still, I was very, very surprised. Again, not the best game from Alina, 8 double faults, and then she hit 23 winners to 41 unforced errors. So it's quite unbalanced and not a clean game that she can typically play, especially in the early rounds of slams. Then the third person who disappointed me was Ludmila Samsonova. I'm always rooting for her. Her and Katerina Alexandrova, I look at them as like a same player. I just need one of them to make at least a slam semifinal. Anyway, so she lost second round to Priscilla Hon. I didn't watch this match, so I don't have too much to say, but unexpected, very, very unexpected. And then a couple of special mentions for disappointing performances or disappointing runs at this US Open. I have Clara Towson, which I think is a bit unfair because she did have a difficult first round in playing Alex Ayala. And then I have Sophia Kenin, again, difficult match against Aisling Kruger, who is probably someone you don't want to play, especially on hard court. But still, I have been saying that there's a Renaissance on its way and it hasn't been happening. So right now I'm looking like an idiot. So I need Sophia to get it together for me, please. So my family and friends think I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to tennis. And then third person in the special mentions for disappointments was Mira Andreeva. I'm just now expecting more, so it's hard to see her go away like that and to be so flat again. And I really think the crowd, that crowd element, she needs to, I don't know. There's a lot she needs to do. She's quite young, so not too much pressure on Mira. And then last player who, again, I always wish the best for, and then they disappoint me, especially in slams, is Veronika Kudermetova. She lost in the first round as well. All right, then moving on to happier things. I've got some of the standouts for this year's tournament, starting with Priscilla Hon, who was a qualifier, ranked currently 126 and is Australian. It was her best major performance, making it to the round of 32. And she made it through qualifiers first, and then she went on to beat Leola Jean-Jean in straight sets. Then she beat Samsonova in 3 sets as well. She wasn't able to capitalize on the draw opening up as well and ended up losing to Anne Lee, who's a home player, so it makes sense, but still great performance from Priscilla. I'm very, very proud. Then the next player I had here as a standout was Maketa Vondrousova. I get it. She's a Grand Slam champion and she's made deep runs in other slams before other than Wimbledon. But she had a really difficult draw going into this US Open and she went into it ranked as 60th, so obviously not seeded. She beat 3 seeds in a row to make it to the quarterfinals. So that was McCartney Kessler, Jasmine Paolini, and Elena Rybakina. She was playing really, really smart tennis. And that last match against Elena Rybakina, her serving was insane. It was a stellar serving performance. So hopefully this injury that she does have is something minor and we can see a good start to the year for her next year. And even a good end to the year, because there's still more than a couple, there are quite a few tournaments that still have to be played out. Then the third player who was a standout to me I've got here is Taylor Townsend. So last time Taylor made 4th round of major was US Open in 2019. So this is her best performance in a major in a while. And I'll also say her best singles result in a while as well. She got to the 4th round by beating Antonia Ruzic 6-4, 6-4, Yelena Ostapenko 7-5, 6-1, and then she beat Mira Andreeva 7-5, 6-2, and then eventually lost to Barbora Krejcikova. A really difficult loss because she had 8 match points and she couldn't convert at least one of them. But that's also down to her opponent, who plays really smart tennis. But yeah, proud to see Taylor. And she's still in the doubles as well with her doubles partner, Siniakova. And also, she is currently holding the #1 doubles ranking. So proud of Taylor on the singles and the doubles front of her tennis. And then special mention as well is Barbora Krejcikova. Won't talk too much about that. Made the quarterfinals. Did that by saving 8 match points against Taylor Townsend. So fabulous. And tennis is always better when you do have players like Vondrousova and Krejcikova playing really well because it adds so much variety. I do think the women's game already has a lot of variety, but you could always want more of it and see that there's different ways of playing tennis and still being successful. That still wins you tournaments and majors. And then just some other quick happy standout news. We had Janice Tien. I'm so sorry, I did not learn how to pronounce her name before this, but Janice, her last name is spelled Tjen, from Indonesia, was the first Indonesian player in 22 years to win a main draw match for a Grand Slam. So that's just some good news, seeing countries that you don't always see in tennis being put on the map. And then same thing with Alex Ayala. So Alex Ayala as well, in the first round, she beat Clara Towson and became the first Filipino to achieve match victory in a major tournament in the Open era. So again, always nice to see countries that aren't so prevalent in tennis being uplifted and being put in the spotlight. So I hope that those two women carry the flag high for their countries and keep pushing as much as they can. So we'll start with our quarterfinal previews. The first two quarterfinals have already been played. I did write my notes before they were played. So I'm going to quickly go through them, what I thought would happen in the match and what actually happened. Then I'll do a preview of the semifinal that we do, and then I'll do a preview of the other two quarterfinals that will be played in about 12 hours or something. Actually less than that, about 9 hours. All right, so we'll start with the first quarterfinal here. It was Jessica Pegula versus Barbora Krejcikova. So Jess comes into this as number 4th seed and number 4. And then Babs, that's when I say Babs, I'm referring to Barbora. So Barbora ranked number 62. And their head-to-head before the quarterfinal that was played today was 2-1 in favor of Krejcikova. And they were all hard court matches as well. Again, because this match has already been played, I'm not going to go too much into the journey of getting to the quarterfinals. I'll just have what I had listed for my prediction and how the match was going to play out. I had my prediction of Jessica Pegula winning in straights. The reason I had that is because I think Jess has had quite a quietly good tournament. She hasn't been on the court for long. She's just played some consistent and convincing tennis. And for her to have beaten Barbora, she had to play her game, which is solid tennis and consistent ground strokes, and kind of impose her game and not be taken in by Krejcikova's creativity and her dynamism, because she changes a lot of things throughout a match. She's quite intelligent in that way. So that's what she did. And yeah, and I think she didn't let Barbora have time to get in the game and impose her game. Because once you do that, you can also get a bit confused, and then you stop playing your game and you just focus on trying to not lose, but just play this game as someone who was out to win. And that's what I thought would happen. So got that right. And then the second quarterfinal, which we didn't get to see play out, against world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka versus Maketa Vondrousova, who's currently ranked number 60. Their head-to-head is quite close. It's Aryna 5-4. And their last meeting was just a few weeks ago in Cincinnati, where Sabalenka won 7-5-6-1. She's also won their last 4 hard court meetings. The match didn't happen, so I'm not going to go too much into it. Vondrousova pulled out before they got on court. The reports were saying she pulled something during training, but I think she had pulled something in the match before, and then when she went to training, it became worse and she realized that she couldn't play. So hopefully she recovers soon, because it's really fun having her on the tour. I really like her playing style, and I like her demeanor. She's quite like chill, and like not much seems to bother her. It might, but not much seems to. So I like different personalities on court. Yeah, so that leaves Jessica Pegula and Aryna Sabalenka in the semifinals, and I will do a preview of that match after I've gone through the other 2 quarterfinals. All right, and then the third quarterfinal we have is number 11 seed Karolina Muchova playing the 23rd seed and 2-time US Open champion Naomi Osaka. Their head-to-head is 2 apiece, and their last meeting was at the Australian Open this year, where Naomi Osaka won 1-6, 6-1, 6-3. And out of their 4 meetings, 3 of them have been 3-set matches. So that's something to keep in your mind. Okay, so that's just something to keep in your mind. So I'll start with Karolina Muchova. I have a couple of things to say about Muchova before we do this little preview. It baffles me that she's only won 1 title, and that it's not like a major title or like in 1,000. It baffles me. I want her to have like a big title so much. It's crazy how, and she's 29. She just turned 29, which is, okay. Anyway, so Muchova got to the quarterfinals by beating Venus Williams in the first round. That was a 3-set match, 6-2, 6-6, 6-1. Then she played Sorana Castella, and she won that match 7-6, 6-7, 6-4. Then third round, she played another Czech in Linda Noskova. She won that match 6-7, 6-4, 6-2. And then her last match in the fourth round was against Marta Kostyuk, and that was a 3-set match as well. That was 6-3, 6-7, 6-3. So all her matches so far have been 3-set matches, and I think you can see it catching up to her, especially in her last match against Marta. In that second set, she had a medical timeout and she was barely able to move. She wasn't moving with like her full range of motion, but she still came out to win that match. So we're not sure how serious like the back thing could be. Maybe it's something that just needs rest and then she can reset going to the match. So I am putting that into consideration, but maybe not too much, because I don't want it to cloud my view of the game. And I also think if I was Naomi Osaka, I wouldn't be thinking that she's injured, because then it kind of can maybe make you not as prepared or underestimate the opponent on the other side. Anyway, but speaking of Mukova, she's also made the semifinal the past 2 years here, so 2023 and 2024. So I'm sure she wants to make it to the semifinal again and make it 2 steps further by winning the title. And then looking at Naomi Osaka's journey to the her journey to the quarterfinal. In the first round, played Greet Minen. She won that 6-3, 6-4. Then second round, played Hailey Baptiste, won that 6-3, 6-1. Third round, played Daria Kasatkina. She won that match 6-love, 4-6, 6-3. And then last round, fourth round, she played world number 3, Coco Gauff, and she won that 6-3, 6-2. So with Naomi, she is peaking at the right time. Her first 2 matches, I say, were easier matches. And then the game against Kasatkina, she was tested a little bit. And Kasatkina was asking her the questions of seeing how consistent she can be throughout the match. So she faltered a little by losing that second set, but still came back to win it. And then against Corey, she won 94% of points on her first serve. Yeah. And a lot of the focus in the media has been on Corey not playing well or not serving well, which I agree she didn't. I think it's a combination of things. So Naomi played so well, insanely well. Coco didn't play her best. I won't say she played like horrendously, but when you're serving like that, and she's been serving like that for however long, and especially the past few matches, eventually it catches up to you and you play someone who punishes you for that. But I don't think this was the worst serving performance. But I do think she wasn't serving in the same way. She wasn't serving as well as she can, because she has matches where she serves really badly and then she has where she serves well, where I think it was more so average, and Naomi Osaka was able to capitalize on that. Yeah, was able to capitalize on just Coco's serve being reworked, because she's changing it, you know? It was a match that had like 2 sides. And I think with tennis, it's never just this person was horrible, or sometimes it is, but the other person still has to serve well, or still has to hold their games as well, which I think I've said that before, as in someone can play badly, but you have to do your part, which is serve and hold games. Anyway, on Naomi still, she has made 4 Grand Slam quarters and she's won 4 Grand Slams. So anytime she's made the quarterfinal for Grand Slam, she has won that Grand Slam. Ominous? Who knows? Anyway, with all of that being said, I have Naomi Osaka winning this match. I'm not trying to bring how Mukova's feeling physically into it, but it might play a part, so I do have to say something about it. But yeah, I think Naomi wins in 3 sets. I think if she serves well and shortens the points and doesn't give Mukova any time to be creative, then I think she wins this match. And I also think Naomi should try and win it in 2 sets. Even though I'm saying Mukova might not be feeling the best physically, if it does go to 3 sets, I think Mukova is battle tested, but I also think mentally she's very good mentally. She's a very good player mentally. So I think it's always in the best interest of the player to keep the game to 2 sets. But I think in this case for Naomi, just to make sure that those doubts don't creep in of matches that have been close and then she's gone on to lose them, like the Canadian Open as well. But I also think she's confident and has got her groove back. So we'll see. For Mukova to win, again, my prediction is Naomi to win. But for Morkova to win, she has to disrupt Naomi's rhythm. She has to mix up the type of balls that Naomi is receiving. She kind of just has to play the game that she normally plays, but then couple it with serving well and moving well. And hopefully that'll be enough to frustrate Naomi. But as I said, I think this is a match Naomi wins in 3 sets. Even though I'm saying she should win in 2, I think she can still do it in 3. Then the last quarterfinal that we have is world number 2 Iga Swiatek playing Amanda Anisimova, who is seeded 8th. And with these two, their history is very, very recent, with only having ever played 1 match. So their head-to-head is 1-0 in favor of Iga. And that meeting was at Wimbledon, as we all know, and it was a 6-love win for her. So I think this match is very tense for one player in particular. That's Amanda, of course, who has recovered well from that Wimbledon loss. But you never know how fully recovered someone is until they play someone who beat them. So we'll see. But we'll start with Iga's path to the quarterfinal. So in the first round, she played Colombian Emiliana Arango, and she won that 6-1, 6-2. Then in the second round, she had a bit of a stumble against Suzanne Lamens of the Netherlands. She won in 3 sets, 6-1, 4-6, 6-4. Then third round, she beat Anna Kalinskaya 7-6, 6-4. Then fourth round, she had convincing victory over Ekaterina Alexandrova, and that was 6-3, 6-1. So Iga's playing well. She's playing confidently. She has, I will say, has had a couple of hiccups in that she lost the second set in her second round match. And then in her third round match, honestly, she was making so many errors, and Kalinskaya was up a double break and had 2 opportunities to serve out the set and wasn't able to do it. Kalinskaya, in my opinion, definitely should have at least won that first set. But I do think the fact that she's had those hiccups or those really close moments of difficult matches, Iga can gain confidence from it because she knows she's come back from a bit of adversity. And if she can just keep playing her game, she'll be able to find her rhythm and end up winning. Because she's one of those players, her and Sabalenka, Coco, Jessica Pegula, if they play their game, their average is better than basically everyone's average. That's why they're the top players. So that's that on Iga. And then looking at Amanda Anisimova, her path to the quarterfinals started against Australian Kim Burrell. She won that 6-3, 6-2. Then played Maya Joint, another Australian. That was 7-6, 6-2. Then third round, she played Jacqueline Christian. She won that match in 3 sets. It was 6-4, 4-6, 6-2. And then fourth round match, she convincingly beat Beatrice Haddad-Maia, and that was 6-love, 6-3. So Amanda's been serving really, really well. I do think there's been moments of her letting people back in the game with unforced errors. She did that against Maya Joint. Maya had a couple of opportunities to serve out the match and wasn't able to do it. And then she also lost to the second set against Jacqueline Christian. So I think there's sometimes always an open door with Amanda Anisimova in terms of the racket. Because the game is essentially, she's very similar to Sabalenka in that she holds the game in her racket when she's playing players that are lower ranked and not as powerful as her. I think it becomes a bit different when she's playing the likes of Sabalenka and the likes of Iga, where they also have the racket in their hand to win the match. So it's trying to figure out that. But in terms of these other matches, I'll criticize that part, but she's come out on top. And I think I said this already. She's, serving really well. So going into the prediction or just the match against these two, I'm not too sure, honestly. I've said that the type of player that gives Iga the most trouble is a hard-hitting and someone who hits quite flat because she likes her ball with spin. That hard hitter, flat ball archetype. But she's still beat at Kalinskaya and Ekaterina Alexandrova. So she's had practice with that type of player. The last 2 people she's played play in that manner. So going into the match with Anisimova, I think she would be confident that she can handle what Anisimova will throw at her. And also, you have to think about Wimbledon. I think there's no pressure on Iga, essentially. She'll be okay, I just have to play my game and maybe Amanda will beat herself like last time. But then on Amanda's side of things, Amanda didn't say anything about revenge. Obviously, she wants to play better than she did in the final. And I think that's a powerful motivation I think revenge is a powerful motivation, especially in tennis. And if she has that like fire underlying, maybe something can come off it. She also will have the home crowd support. And I think because of her performance at Wimbledon, a lot of people probably be cheering more than usual for her because they want her to, I guess, get one over on the person who beat her that way. So she'll have that home soil advantage. But I don't know. I think it's hard for me not to back Iga. I think Iga takes this one in, we'll say 3 sets. No, actually, I think in straight sets for Iga. I'd say that though, but an upset could still be on the cards. Like, I'm not doubting Amanda could win this match. It's not like it's 100% in with Iga. It's like 70-30. Yeah, I'd say 3 sets. I want to see 3 sets. I want to see how both players handle the pressure. But it's weird. I actually think there's more pressure on Anisimova than Iga. Anyway, so yeah, from all I've said, Iga to win that match. And it's also because I want an Iga and Naomi semifinal. I think that would be just a dazzling, dazzling match. Now that I've gone through the quarterfinals that are still upcoming, I'll also do a quick preview of the semifinal that's already set between Aryna Sabalenka and Jessica Pegula. So we'll start with their head-to-head, of course. It is 7-2 in favor of Aryna Sabalenka. And the last time that they played was on the hard courts of Miami, and Sabalenka won that match. And then, as we know, they also played last year at the US Open where Sabalenka won 7-5. We'll start with Saba's path to the semifinal. First round, she played Rebecca Masarova. She won that match 7-5, 6-1. Then second round was against Polina Kudermetova. She won that 7-6, 6-2. Then against Leila Fernandez, she won 6-3. Then against Christina Busha, she won that 6-1. And then the last match was meant to play was a walkover because Maketa Vondrousova is injured. So for this, I'm just going to do pros and cons, for and against for each player. For Sabalenka, pros, she's won their last 3 hard court meetings, which have all been finals. So that was Miami Open 2025, US Open 2024, and Cincinnati 2024. And then, of course, like I said, they played in the same slam last year. So just like that mental aspect she's got. And Sabalenka's become quite the problem solver. And I think with Jess, like the way she plays is predictable. You know what she's going to do. I think that's like a puzzle Sabalenka can solve. And again, she's a world number 1 for a reason. And she's also made 5 finals of the last 6 semis she's played. So if you put that in the equation as well, she's quite experienced at this stage and level of the tournament. Cons, things that could go against her, is just her mind. Usually Sabalenka beats herself. I've said often, the racket is in her hand, what she chooses to do with it. Secondly, the crowd. I know she was able to handle the crowd last year when she did play Jess in the final, but there's also moments where she can't or where she hasn't been able to. So that could come up again. I'm not saying it will. I'd be surprised, but it still can. And then there's no preparation because she didn't play the quarterfinal match, and she was going to play someone like a really high level opponent. So that would have been great preparation if she had won that match and then going into the semifinal. So I think her mind has to now mentally prepare for the step up in competitor. Then on the other side, we've got Jessica Pegula. Her path to the final was first round against Maya Sharif. She won that 6-love. Then against Anna Blinkova, she won that 6-1, 6-3. Then in the third round, she beat Victoria Azarenka 6-1, 7-5. Then fourth round, she beat Ann Lee 6-1, 6-2. And then quarterfinal against Barbora Krejcikova, she won 6-3, 6-3. So pros for Jess, she has beaten Aryna before on hard court in like an important match. That was 2023, the WTA finals. So it has been a while, but you know, you can take it all into consideration. And then she's on home soil and she's got the crowd support. And I think she has no pressure. To be honest, based on her run before this US Open, people had low expectations for Jess. So I think she goes onto this match with no pressure because she's not the world number 1. She's not the defending champion. People expect her to lose, considering the head-to-head as well. I also think because she did play a quarterfinal match, she's in like flow state. She can just like keep it pushing and keep it moving. And she's been playing very well, very consistently. So the cons would be obviously Aryna's superior head-to-head and also scar tissue from losing not just the US Open final last year, but losing US Open final, then the Miami Open final, and then the Cincinnati final in 2024 as well. But again, that revenge element, she did mention it in her press conference. Just she said it'd be nice to get a bit of revenge. And I think sometimes I can light the fire and make it easier to beat your opponent. So saying all of that, my prediction, because I did a pre-tournament prediction and I had Aryna going to the final, I have to pick it again because you can't just change your predictions, you know? So I've got Aryna making it to the final and beating Jessica Pegula, but I think it's either going to be really, really difficult or very easy. I stick with my pick of Aryna Sabalenka making the final. But as I am saying that, Aryna, if you're not going to go on to win in the final, please just let Jess play another Grand Slam final. I can't have you not win this final. I can't have you lose 3 major finals in a row. I can't have anyone. It's heartbreaking for basically any player. So please don't do it if you're not going to win the entire tournament. That is my call out. Thank you. But that is all for today. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you for welcoming me back to your ears. Is that weird to say? Yeah, probably. Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Just before I go, I'll remind you to follow my Instagram at EWWT podcast, as well as, I haven't said this for the past few episodes, but may you please follow whichever platform you listen to the podcast on. Can you please follow the podcast channel and then also download every episode you listen to? It does help me a lot. And share with your friends, any friends that like tennis, that want to know more about tennis, and especially ones that love women's sport. Just send it to them and maybe they'll learn something new. But again, thank you for your time. Bye.